So let's dive into some specifics when it comes to prevention of low back pain during exercise. Now, a lot of these principles, they can go from weightlifting to crossfitting to running. It really doesn't matter what your sport is. They're all going to kind of hold true. The first part, when you think about prevention of back pain, is your cardiovascular warm-up. You need to get the tissues ready and prepared for exercise. So it just depends on what you're doing, what kind of warm-up you need to perform. If you're a runner, that usually means you're going to do an easy jog for at least 3 to 5 minutes just to get the blood pumping. If you weight lift or if you do CrossFit or other sports, you might use the rower, you might use a stationary bicycle. There's a lot of options. The whole point here is to get your heart rate up, get the tissues warm, get them prepared for movement. Once you get that basic cardiovascular warm-up, I then say double that. So you start easy, getting the heart rate up, now really get the heart rate going. So for me, I might do jumping jacks, I might do burpees, I like to jump rope, anything to really get the blood pumping and maybe even start sweating a little bit. Make sure I'm ready to go. Once I kind of feel that my heart rate's going, I've got a little bit of sweat going, I feel warm, that's when we're gonna really delineate how the next part of the warm-up's gonna go. After we do that, then we're gonna get into more the dynamic warm-up. And the goal here is, if we're thinking about most of what we're gonna be doing is gonna be a squatting motion, a bending motion. So as part of our dynamic warm-up, we need to warm up the pelvis because that's where a lot of the stiffness is. And when we bend over to lift something, we got our props here today, which is good. We kept it light so I could lift it. If we're going to bend over and lift something, if we're tight in our pelvis, you're going to be, and we're going to lift. That's probably not a good position to lift, right? But if you can't get down into a squat because you're too tight, you're not going to have any choice. If it's going to be an overhead activity, then you need to make sure your shoulder girdle, your upper thoracic, your neck, everything is ready to go. So for these examples, we're going to look more at the lower extremity, but they hold true for the upper extremity as well. The idea is we're worried about our back. So we don't want all the forces and all the stress to go through the back. We want our legs and our pelvis to help take away some of the stress our back might actually have during the activity. So if you're real tight in your legs, or you're real tight in your pelvis, then all that force that should be going through the pelvis is going to go right into the low back. It always gets your weak spot, and for most, that's going to be their back. But if you can get your pelvis warmed up, ready to go, then those forces will easily translate through the pelvis, and not only will you perform better, you're actually going to reduce your risk of back pain. So once I've done my cardiovascular warm-up, this is when I really look to a dynamic warm-up. One of the few things that I like to do regardless of the exercise is just leg swings. It's more of a ballistic type motion. You're just swinging back and forth. The most common problem with this exercise is people get way too much extension through their back. So you'll see them really arching their back like this. If you're trying to avoid back pain, not a good idea. You want to keep this part stable, engage that core, let your pelvis warm up. So we go forwards and backwards, and we might even go side to side like this. Just again, trying to warm things up, not trying to do my full motion necessarily. I'll do 10, 15 repetitions each side as part of that warm-up. The next part of the warm-up, we're going to have our volunteer here, and I'm going to take him through a couple of these exercises so you can see exactly how they're used to warm up that pelvic and lower extremity. This first warm-up is really to get the hamstrings, which tend to be chronically tight on a lot of people, again, because of too much sitting. So the first exercise for the warm-up is to loosen that area up. So what we're going to do here is you're going to bend forward, go as far as you can go, and just feel where that tightness is. That's going to be your benchmark. So once you get that benchmark, then we're going to rotate. Now what I want you to do with the rotation is you're going to twist and try to put your chest towards the ceiling, and you're going to twist as far as you can one way, doesn't matter if your knees bend, and then go the same thing, twist to the right. Which way is easier, right or left for you?
Left.
Okay, so we're going to go to the left. We want to go to the easy side. A lot of people want to go to the hard side, but we're going to go to the easy side. So you're going to do that 5, 6, 7 times. Bend forward, stay in that forward bend, and then twist to the left. As far as you can go. It's okay to bend the knees. We're going to go about 5 times. So go ahead and twist again. It's all about the rotation and flexion. And twist again. Try to keep bent over a little bit more. 2 more. Really twist and bend, open that up. It's okay to use your hands on your legs to give yourself a little bit extra twist. Great. And now come back up and then retest where you're at. You should find that you're a little bit more flexible. So that's one version. Another version is similar, but it's more of a split leg, wider stance. So really get wide on this stance. And this time, to test your tightness, go down to one leg, go down the other, just to find that baseline. See where you're at. You're still part of that warm-up sequence is evaluating how your body is feeling today and what areas are you going to need to warm up more because they're a little tighter. And it's going to vary day to day. So find out where that tightness is, and then again, we're going to go back to the rotation. So you're going to be down here in the middle, rotate left, keep the legs apart, all the way down, and then when you rotate, twist so your chest is coming up. Good. That's to the right. Now do the same thing to the left. Twist coming up to the left. Which way is easiest?
Right.
Okay, so twist several times going to the right. Stay in that forward bent position. Your knees can bend a little bit. That's okay. And really rotate so you're trying to get your head and chest up to the ceiling. You'll go 5, 6, 7 times depending on how you feel. Fantastic. Once you do that, then go back into your testing position and see where you're feeling tight. Again, you should notice, and you can see right here with him, that he's going a lot further down into the stance, meaning his hamstrings have loosened up and that pelvic area is getting a little bit more loose. Okay, go ahead and stand back up. The next one we're going to go through, it's more of a flow type exercise. And so the way it starts, and here I'll have you stand right over here, and I'll be on this side for just a minute, is you're going to go down to the forward bend, and it's going to be a wiggle wiggle. By wiggle wiggle, I mean your heels are going to lift up and down from the ground. Now you might do this 5, 6, 7 times. It's okay if your knees bend a little bit. Good. From that position, once you're down there, wiggle, 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 and then it's a walkout. And so you're going to walk yourself all the way out into a push-up position. Good. From the push-up position, I would do 1, 2 push-ups, whatever you feel like doing. Good. And then come all the way flat onto the ground. So go all the way flat and down into your push-up. And now you're going to do a press-up. So you're going to push yourself up. So go with your hands by your side and push yourself up, keeping your back on the ground, pelvis on the ground, into that back bend position. You can see how he's bending here. That's perfect. Come back down. Do that a couple of times. And back down. The idea here is to let that back arch as much as you can. Everyone's going to be different. Some people can come up really far, some people not. Now, once you do that a couple of times, come back down, go back into your push-up position. And from your push-up position, push yourself up so you're in this downward dog position. Once you're there, it's a jump into a squat, and then stand up. Perfect. Now that sequence needs to be repeated several times. I'll have you stand right over there, and I'm going to go through that sequence just so you can see it, how it would look in a faster, more warm-up type flow. Bend forward, wiggle, 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 walk out, push up, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, downward dog, squat, and up. Okay, one more time, just so you can see it. It's one of my favorite warm-ups. Wiggle, 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 walk out, push up, upward dog, which I forgot the last time. You can do 2, 3, 4, however many you want. Push up, downward dog, squat, up. Perfect. Another one, when you're going to be doing a lot of squatting, and you need to open up the inside of the pelvis, is to go into a full squat. Now, if you can't get into the full squat, that tells you you already have tightness issues. You might be too tight in your ankles, could be the pelvis, could be your back, whatever it is, you need to work on getting into this position. If you're doing squat as part of a weightlifting routine and you can't get in this position, it's going to be very difficult to perform the squat correctly, again, increasing your risk of injury. So we get into this squat position. The idea is to try to get your feet fairly parallel and then sit. Once you're in this sitting position, you're going to rotate. Once this way and this way. At first I go a little slower and then I pick up my speed a little bit. Again, trying to open up my thoracic, my pelvis, preparing my body for whatever activity I might be doing. After about 5, 6, 7 reps each direction, I'm up and I move on with the rest of my warm-up.